Hello, happy people, and welcome to your Moment of Zed, the YouTube channel dedicated to the most beautiful car in the world, the BMW Z3, or as the folks in Draperstown call it, the Z3. I'm Mark, and today we're going to tackle a very common problem on any car, really. Rock hits, chips, cracks, bullseye cracks, spider webs, whatever you want to call them. Windshield cracks. Now I understand that most of us have glass insurance, which means that if we get a big crack in our windshield, we can call our insurance company and get that windshield replaced. I also understand a lot of these same companies that work with the insurance companies will fix small cracks and chips using techniques that are probably similar to the one I'm about to use. Two reasons I'm not doing it. I don't really want them to replace my entire windshield. I don't think it needs it. I know I could come out and get them to repair this, and that's fine. This is actually a chip that I've had on my car since I bought it, knew it was there. But I want to just try and tackle it myself, see how it works out with the kit I've bought. But before I do all that, we have our Zeds of the Week. And this week we have basically an international edition. First up, Fabrizio from Paraguay with his 2001 2-liter 5-speed Roadster, which is a car imported from Japan, has about 136,000 kilometers. He says that everything works. He has done some paint corrections, however. He's put on a new top and new steering wheel leather. Next up, Enrique from Portugal with his 2000 1.9-liter Roadster with 45,000 miles. Now, this car was originally his grandfather's. He's been around it since he was a little boy. He does all his own work. He recently replaced the valve cover gasket and the fuel filter. Next up is redoing some stitching around the back window. And last but not least, Patrick from the Netherlands with his 1.8-liter 5-speed Roadster built in October 96 in a pretty Montreal blue. Now, he bought it a few months ago and has basically replaced almost every wear item and some non-wear items on the engine, in the interior, and on the chassis. He also put on those original style 36 wheels. Love those. Very, very nice. Coincidentally, one of his best friends picked up the identical car about 2 weeks ago in the north of Netherlands. Very, very cool. Also, Patrick showed off his E34 5 Series and his E30 3 Series. He is a big 90s BMW guy. Awesome. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your beautiful cars. If you'd like to see your car on Zed of the Week, please follow the easy instructions in the description below. Now let's get cracking. Okay, so here's the chip we're repairing, and focus in on that. There it is, and this is on the driver's side of the windshield, right, of course, about at eye level. Where else would it be? And it's a chip, I would say. It's not a bullseye, it's a chip with kind of a 3-legged crack. 1, 2, there's a third one, and the total length between the end of the top crack and the bottom crack, probably about an inch and a quarter. So pretty minor. Take a look from the inside. And there we have it from the inside. Again, nothing I can't live with, but I don't want it to get any bigger, so we're going to try and prevent that. So prior to today, I had this chip repaired the old-fashioned way. Took some of the wife's clear nail polish and coated the area that was chipped and cracked on both sides, and that's actually served me pretty well. Doesn't look great, but it has stopped it from spreading. This isn't any bigger than it was, but I want to do something hopefully a little bit better looking with this kit. So the kit I've chosen to go with is the Rain-X windshield repair kit. The reason I chose it, because there's a lot of similar kits out there. This was $13 on Amazon, which is about the price of any of these kits on Amazon. Link in the description. I watched a Project Farm video on YouTube, link in the description, that compared this kit to a bunch of others. It was highly rated, so I went with it. Supposedly you can fix cracks up to 12 inches with this. Look, if you've got a crack that's 3, 4, 5 inches long or more, just replace your windshield. I find trouble believing that it would fix a crack up to 12 inches, but I think it'll do a crack or a chip like mine. Let's find out. All right, so here's what you get with the kit. You get the applicator base, the resin chamber, pressure driver, the repair resin itself, which is what's going to go in the crack. You get curing strips, which are just little pieces of clear plastic, and that's a razor blade inside of there to scrape off any excess. So that's what you get in the kit. So before I even get into the use of the actual kit, I took acetone and removed the nail polish, the clear nail polish from both sides of the crack or the chip. And then I cleaned the whole windshield actually inside and out with just regular glass cleaner. And now we're ready to get started. Okay, so our first step is going to place that applicator base centered over the actual area that needs repair. What I found though is that it's a fairly cold morning. It's probably around 60 degrees right now, again for Florida. And these suction cups are stiff as a board. And the windshield's cold. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a hair dryer and I'm gonna heat up the windshield a little bit. And you gotta be careful with that because you could make the crack worse if you get it too hot. And I'm also gonna take the hair dryer and hit the rubber of the suction cups so they're a little bit more pliable. Then I'll probably put just a little bit of moisture on the bottom and then we'll try and stick this on. All right, so there's the base attached. Sorry, it's a little hard to film, but it's nothing more than pressing down the suction cups. Again, I put a little moisture on the underside of them so they'd stick better, because the whole idea of this is the base and we're going to use it to apply the resin under pressure into the chip and cracks. So this has to be fairly sturdily placed. So it's there, and on to step two. So step two, take the resin chamber and simply screw it into the applicator base. And it says you want to ensure that the mouth of it, which is made out of rubber, the bottom part, is in contact exactly with the center of the point of impact. And you want to apply gentle but firm pressure, because you could start changing the shape of the windshield if you put on too much pressure. So you're kind of going to have to judge that a little bit. And obviously, if you put on so much pressure that you pop the suction cups, that's too much. So there, I'm gonna gentle but firm pressure. Now we're gonna take a look at the alignment from the inside. Okay, so checking this out from the inside, we see our alignment. Let's see if we can get focused, is pretty much right on the point of impact. And you can kind of see how that rubber mouth has squished down and formed a seal around that chip. So that's what it looks like from the inside. So for the next step, we're going to need the resin. Yep, that looks like an opening. Okay, great, here we go. We're going to take the resin, now that it's opened, and squeeze 3 to 6 drops into the pressure chamber. Kind of hard to see how many drops you're getting in there, but better more than less. Next step is to take the pressure driver and start screwing that into the resin chamber. Now the idea here, of course, is to squeeze the resin into the crack. Hopefully it'll start filling up that, the 3 legs of the crack. And to fill the actual chip, well, that's going to be a future step. And you're going to do that until the pressure driver is screwed almost all the way in. So again, you're just forcing the resin into those cracks. Now what they say is you shouldn't stop until the visible cracks are gone. All right, so I moved the chamber itself, so that means it's probably about as tight as it can be. And now we wait 4 to 6 minutes. So we'll wait. Okay, so I've given it its 4 to 6 minutes, and step 5 is to unscrew the pressure driver and then put it back in. So I'm going to unscrew that. And what this does, supposedly, if you have any air in the chamber, it will get rid of it. I'm not exactly sure how it does that, but again, just following the instructions. And this time I got it right up against the pressure chamber. And to tell you the truth, I really don't see any change in that main part of the crack down at the bottom. Supposedly, that should be filled in. Now, I suppose possibly I didn't get all of my nail polish out of the chip, but I'm pretty sure I did. Again, the idea is that this pressure driver forces resin into that crack and fills it. So the advice on the instructions is, if it doesn't work the first time, redo steps 4 and 5, fill it up with more resin and give it some more pressure. So that's what I'm going to try. Okay, so I've redone steps 4 and 5. I put more resin in. I've tightened it down again. And again, I'm not seeing any big results so far. It looks like the cracks that I have, and you can kind of see the one at the bottom of the apparatus right there. Still there, still visible. Not sure I'm super happy with how this is working out. Again, they do say that the best way to do this is to get it when it's fresh. And mine was definitely not fresh. However, I cleaned the heck out of it, and I really think this should be working better than it currently is. But you know, we'll just stick with it and see how it turns out at the end. Let's take a look at the inside. Now, I'd actually say from the inside, it does look a little better. It's kind of starting to do its thing, I think. And although, again, it's kind of hard to film any of this, it kind of looks a little better. It looks like I might have a little air bubble in there, but maybe this is doing it. Okay, so the next step is to remove this. Basically, they say turn the entire thing, the entire pressure chamber and driver, half a turn to the left to release the pressure, and then just go ahead and pull up on the tabs of the suction cups. Have little tabs on them. Pull them up and wipe away any excess resin like that. One thing they suggest, if you had just a straight crack repair without the chip like I had, is to go ahead and apply, just if you were doing, in other words, if you had a long crack, the instructions, which are separate instructions, say to go ahead and take the resin and just apply it to the crack directly. So on the long legs of my crack, and I have to admit, this did fill in okay. On the long legs of my crack, I'm gonna go ahead and just squeeze some resin onto it directly from the applicator bottle. And as I had mentioned in the subtitle earlier, you're doing all this in the shade. Then I'm gonna go ahead and put a curing strip over the entire repaired area. They also suggest with the cracks that you can press on both sides of the windshield to work out any air bubbles. Got to kind of be gentle though. We don't want to extend the crack. And again, I know you're basically looking at my hands right now, but I'm kind of trying to work the main part of this crack here and these other parts, just to kind of get some resin down into them. Trying to help make them disappear a little bit. And I think what it may be, I think what the issue may be is that the longer legs of those cracks, the one above the chip and the one below the chip, some of it's filled in. They're less visible, I'd say, than they were with just the nail polish. with that said, they're not perfect. I think what it may be is there just may not be enough room in those cracks to force any resin in. And I think that's probably the issue. As I mentioned before, this resin cures in UV light. So I've done all this in the shade, and now I'm gonna move the car into, hard to see, but the bright sunlight of our beautiful Florida day. So we've got her pointed into the direct sunlight, and we'll give her that 5 to 10 minutes of cure time. Okay, so I gave it about a good half an hour in the direct sun just to make sure it cured. Now it says to peel away the strip, and if there's any liquid resin still there, to put the strip back on and let it cure some more. It doesn't really look liquidy. Looks a little gelatinous, I would say. As you can see, that little part pulled up. But I think that resin's hard. It's not liquid anymore. And then the final step is to go ahead and scrape away any excess resin with the razor blade, and they say do it at a 90-degree angle and don't be gentle with it. So again, using the included razor blade and just going at this excess resin. So we'll make you sit through all of that. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep doing it till it's clear, and then we'll see how it turned out. Okay, so final tally, and it's kind of hard to make the camera focus on the crack. I would say overall that the divot from the chip is less, it's less visible. You can kind of see that bottom crack is filled in kind of in the middle, and then you can see it more visibly at the further down the windshield. The two top legs of the cracks, I'd say a little bit better. And again, the divot of the chip's filled in okay. It's less visible, but is it perfect? No, not at all. But hey, we're all about second chances here, so I'm going to give this one more shot, but I'm just gonna try and fill in the main part of that divot. I don't think we're gonna get anything else into these cracks, and I don't wanna put any more pressure on the windshield to take a chance on cracking it again. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of resin and go ahead and grab a strip. I'm almost thinking this would have been a better way to do it in the first place, and I would have used less resin. But I'm gonna go ahead and give that a shot. Again, one more chance for this stuff, and we'll see how it looks after that. If this doesn't work well, then I'm giving up. So there we go after that next attempt, and I would say final, far from invisible, and not particularly all that much better than when I had nail polish over it. So folks, I want to be totally fair to this product and the manufacturer. There may have been leftover nail polish in the chip and the cracks that prevented this product from getting full penetration. The resin, maybe, I don't think so. I thought it cleaned it up pretty well. Let's take a look at side-by-side photos, and I think you see that really the resin did not, again, penetrate the cracks, but it did fill in the chip itself, and the chip itself is less visible and just looks better overall, so I'd have to give it that. I think the use case for this kit is you have a fresh minor chip, bullseye, or crack. You don't have glass insurance for whatever reason, and you want to give it a shot. For $13 an hour of your time, it's a perfectly reasonable investment. So there you have it. If you found this content valuable, please crush that like button as always. And until next time, remember, friends don't let friends drive boring.